Commander Jack Powell stood at the viewport of the Pathfinder *, his knuckles white as he gripped the railing. The massive Araxian warships surrounded Earth's diplomatic vessel like wolves circling prey. Their gleaming hulls reflected the distant sun, a cruel reminder of the stars humanity would now be forbidden to reach. "The Council's decision is final," said High Counselor Zeth Mara, his holographic image flickering in the center of the bridge. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of satisfaction among his kind. "Your species' capacity for violence makes you unworthy of the stars. Remain in your cradle until you evolve beyond your primitive nature." Jack wanted to argue, to fight, to do anything but accept this sentence. Humanity had worked so hard to reach the stars. They had overcome war, united their planet, and developed faster-than-light travel, all within a single century. Their first contact with the Galactic Council had been peaceful. They had followed every rule, completed every test. "We have met all your conditions," Jack said, his voice steady despite the anger burning in his chest. "We have shown that humans can be peaceful. We have shared our art, our music, our science. What more could you want from us?" The High Counselor's mouth tentacles curled in what Jack had learned was a smile. "We have observed your history, Commander Powell. 10,000 years of war, of conquest. Your peaceful period is but a moment in your violent past. The risk is too great." Behind Jack, the bridge crew watched in silence. Lieutenant Amy Foster wiped tears from her eyes. Science Officer Ben Clark stared at his console, refusing to look at the alien who had just sentenced humanity to isolation. "The quarantine will begin immediately," continued Zeth Mara. "Any human vessel attempting to leave your solar system will be destroyed. This is not a punishment, but a protection for the rest of the galaxy." With that, the hologram disappeared. Jack turned to face his crew. "Send a message to Earth. The Council has made their decision." Over the next week, Jack watched helplessly as alien warships placed quarantine beacons at strategic points around the solar system. Each beacon was a warning and a prison bar, set to alert the Council if any ship tried to pass. When the Pathfinder was finally allowed to return to Earth, Jack found a world in shock. The news had spread quickly. Humanity, after reaching for the stars, had been judged and found wanting. In the years that followed, Jack traveled the world, speaking to leaders and ordinary people alike. "This isn't the end," he told them. "This is just another challenge." Some listened. Others fell into despair. Nations that had united in the joy of space exploration now argued over who was to blame for their exile. Jack found himself called to a secret meeting at the old United Nations building in New York. Representatives from every major spacefaring nation were present. The mood was grim. "We cannot accept this prison," said President Laura Rivera. "We will not simply wait and hope the Council changes their mind in 1,000 years." "What do you propose?" asked Jack. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours. We can't fight them." An older woman stepped forward. Dr. Lily Reeves, the physicist whose theories had helped humanity achieve their first faster-than-light jump. "We don't fight them," she said, placing a small device on the table. It pulsed with a blue light that seemed to bend around itself. "We outsmart them. I've been studying the alien technology from our first contact. There are gaps in their understanding, paths they haven't explored." Jack leaned forward, really looking at Dr. Reeves for the first time. Her eyes held a fire he recognized, the same fire that had driven humanity to the stars in the first place. "They think they know us," she continued. "They think they've seen our limits. They're wrong." Jack felt something he hadn't felt since the quarantine began. Hope. "How long?" he asked. "Decades, maybe. But we'll get there," she replied. "And when we do, the Council will learn what happens when you try to cage humanity." Jack nodded, a small smile forming on his lips. The Council had made a terrible mistake. They had given humanity something dangerous, a reason to prove them wrong. 50 years passed since the Council's judgment. Dr. Lily Reeves had grown old in her laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her hair had turned white, her hands now shook slightly, but her mind remained sharp. She stared at the glowing device on her workbench, the culmination of half a century's work. "Run the test again," she told her young assistant, Keith Daniels. He nodded and entered the commands into the computer. The small probe in the sealed chamber began to shimmer. Then, for a brief moment, it vanished completely before reappearing. "It worked," Keith whispered, his eyes wide. It actually worked. Lily allowed herself a small smile. "Call Director Wright. Tell him Phoenix is ready to fly." 3 days later, Lily sat in a conference room with the leaders of the Phoenix Initiative, humanity's secret response to exile. Director Alan Wright, once a boy when the quarantine began, now led the combined space efforts of Earth's nations. "Explain it to us again, Doctor," said Alan, his deep voice filling the room. "In simple terms." Lily pointed to the holographic display showing her device. "The Council's quarantine works by detecting normal space-time distortions. But my drive doesn't distort space-time. It slips between the fabric of reality itself. The beacons won't see our ships because we'll be traveling through what I call the void, a space between spaces." "And you're certain the Council doesn't have this technology?" asked General Patricia Vaughn. "Positive," said Lily. "The Araxians and other Council races rely on gravity manipulation. They'd never explored quantum tunneling as we have. Their arrogance blinded them to other possibilities." Alan stood up and walked to the window. Through it, they could see the massive underground hangar where the first ship designed to use Lily's drive was being completed. The Defiance was smaller than the old diplomatic vessels, built for stealth and speed rather than comfort. "How soon can it be ready?" he asked. 2 months, said Captain Donna Martinez, the woman chosen to command the Defiance. "My crew is already training on the simulators." Alan nodded. "Then in 2 months, humanity takes its first step back to the stars." The day of launch came quicker than anyone expected. The Defiance was moved in secret to a launch facility in the Atacama Desert. Only a handful of people knew what was about to happen. Donna checked her crew one last time. 15 men and women, the best Earth had to offer. They all knew the risks. If the Council discovered them, there would be no rescue. "Are you scared?" asked Lily, who had come to see them off despite her age. Donna smiled. "Terrified, but more excited than scared." Lily handed her a small box. "A gift. Open it once you're beyond the quarantine." The launch went perfectly. The Defiance rose into orbit, appearing to be just another satellite to any watching eyes. Once in position, Donna gave the order. "Activate the void drive." The ship shuddered. Through the viewport, the stars seemed to stretch and then fold in on themselves. For a brief, terrifying moment, there was nothing but darkness. Then, suddenly, stars again, but different stars. "Position," Donna asked her navigator, trying to keep her voice steady. "Proxima Centauri, Captain. We've done it. We're beyond the quarantine." The crew erupted in cheers. Donna opened Lily's box. Inside was a small flag, the old United Nations symbol, but with the stars rearranged to show Earth at the center of an expanding cosmos. Over the next year, the Defiance mapped systems beyond Sol, finding planets rich in resources and suitable for human habitation. They established the first colony on a world they named Hope, a small outpost of just 50 people, hidden from the Council's regular patrol routes. When Donna returned to Earth, she brought news that changed everything. "There are others out there," she told the Phoenix leaders. "Species not part of the Council. Some are hiding like us. Others were exiled like us. And they're willing to talk." Alan looked at Lily, who smiled despite her frailty. "Begin Phase 2, he said. "It's time to build our shadow empire." 100 years after humanity's exile, Sam Blackwood stood on the observation deck of Novaterra's capital city. Below him spread a metropolis of gleaming towers and busy streets, home to over 5 million humans. Beyond the city lay farms and forests, carefully planned to make this world 40 light-years from Earth feel like home. Sam sipped his coffee as his communication device buzzed. "Blackwood here," he answered. "Agent Roy just returned from Zentari space," said the voice of his assistant. "She has information you need to hear immediately." 20 minutes later, Sam sat in a secure room deep under the city. Across from him, Agent Mia Roy looked tired but excited. Her disguise as a Zentari merchant had been good. Bluish skin dye, pointed ear attachments, and contact lenses that made her eyes seem larger than human. Now the disguise was coming off as she spoke. "The Council is losing control," she said, removing the fake ears. 3 more systems have rebelled in the last month." Sam nodded. "Our doing?" "Partly." Mia smiled. "Those weapons we leaked to the Fraz rebels worked perfectly. The Araxian patrol ships never knew what hit them." For decades, Sam had run what was now called the Shadow Network. Hundreds of human agents disguised as various alien species, gathering information, and slowly, carefully weakening the Council from within. Some spread ideas about freedom. Others leaked advanced human technology to oppressed species. A few even served as advisors to Council politicians, whispering suggestions that caused fighting among the ruling races. "There's more," Mia continued. "The mining colony on Helios 7 found something. Something big." Sam raised an eyebrow. Helios 7 was one of humanity's most distant outposts, a small operation mining rare minerals useful for void drive production. They were digging deeper than usual and broke through into some kind of ancient. Admiral Vanessa Cole stood on the bridge of the stealth carrier Spectre, watching the battle unfold through the ship's advanced sensors. The massive Araxian cruiser fired again and again at the smaller crawl vessels, which darted between asteroids seeking cover. "They're being slaughtered," said her first officer, Lieutenant Dale Lewis. Vanessa nodded grimly. The Crawl were a proud warrior species that had served the Council for centuries as soldiers and guards. Now they were in open rebellion, and the Council was making an example of them. "How many civilians on those transport ships?" she asked. "Sensors show approximately 12,000, replied Dale, "mostly females and children." For 5 years, Vanessa had commanded the Spectre on observation missions throughout Council space. They watched, they listened, but they never interfered. Those were the rules. Humanity wasn't ready to reveal itself. Not yet. But watching the Crawl transports, packed with families trying to escape to neutral space, something in Vanessa snapped. "Bring weapons online," she ordered. Dale looked shocked. "Admiral, our orders." "I know our orders," Vanessa interrupted. "I'm changing them. Signal Commander Howard on the Retribution *. Tell him to move into position behind the Araxian cruiser." Minutes later, 2 human warships, invisible to Araxian sensors thanks to their advanced stealth systems, were in position. "On my mark," Vanessa said, her voice steady. "Decloak and fire." The Spectre and Retribution appeared seemingly out of nowhere. Before the Araxian captain could react, precise energy beams from the human vessels struck the cruiser's weapon systems, not destroying the ship but disabling it completely. "Open a channel to the Crawl fleet," Vanessa ordered. On the main screen, the surprised face of a Crawl commander appeared. His leathery skin was dark gray, and sharp teeth showed as he spoke. "Who are you? How did you appear like that?" "I am Admiral Vanessa Cole of the Human Shadow Fleet," she replied. "We offer your people sanctuary in our space." The Crawl commander's yellow eyes widened. "Humans, the quarantine species." "The same," Vanessa smiled. The quarantine didn't work as well as the Council hoped. 2 days later, Vanessa stood before the human high command, explaining her actions. The meeting room was tense. Some leaders were angry, others nervous. "You revealed our existence to the Council," said Governor Kelly. "Decades of secrecy gone." "It was only a matter of time," replied Vanessa. "Our network reports increasing Council suspicion about the unknown actors supporting rebellions. They were close to discovering us anyway." Sam Blackwood, now older but still sharp, stepped forward. "Admiral Cole made the right call," he said. "The Crawl are skilled warriors with intimate knowledge of Council military operations, and they're grateful." The door opened, and a tall Crawl male entered. Scars covered his face, and his eyes scanned the room with military precision. "High Command, this is War Chief Drac," Sam introduced him. He led the Crawl rebellion against their Araxian masters. Drac bowed his head slightly. "My people owe humans a debt that cannot be repaid. 12,000 lives saved. The Council told the galaxy that humans were dangerous, violent, unworthy of the stars." His mouth formed what might have been a smile. "They were right about the dangerous part." Admiral Peter Walsh leaned forward. "How many Crawl warriors would join us if we move against the Council directly?" "All of them," Drac replied without hesitation. 40,000 trained soldiers ready to fight. And we know the weaknesses in Council defenses, the patrol routes, the command codes." Governor Kelly sighed. "So this is it. After a century of preparation, we're really going to war with the Galactic Council." "They started this war," said Vanessa, "when they caged us in our own solar system. We're just finishing it." Throughout human space, warships that had been built in secret for decades began to gather. On Nova Terra, factories increased production of weapons and void drives. And in Council space, confusion spread as reports came in of strange, advanced vessels appearing from nowhere, attacking military targets and vanishing again. The Shadow War was becoming a real one. Humanity was stepping into the light. Ambassador Olivia Patel took a deep breath as the technicians made final adjustments to the broadcast equipment. In minutes, her face would be seen by every species in Council space. This was the moment humanity would fully step out of the shadows. "We're ready, Ambassador," said the young technician, broadcasting on all Council frequencies in 30 seconds. Olivia straightened her simple blue uniform. At 52, she had spent most of her life training for diplomatic missions that were always meant to happen someday. Now, suddenly, that day had arrived. "This is Ambassador Olivia Pottle of the Human Alliance." She began when the light turned green. 120 years ago, your Council quarantined my species to our home system. You judged us unworthy of the stars." The broadcast included images from the archives, the quarantine beacons being placed, Earth isolated and alone. "But we refuse to accept your judgment. For over a century, we have built our strength in secret. We have established colonies, developed technologies, and formed alliances with others who suffer under Council rule." Now the images showed human cities on distant worlds, advanced ships, and Crawl warriors training alongside human soldiers. "The Council has lied to you," Olivia continued. "They claim to be the rightful heirs of the precursors, but this is false." The broadcast shifted to show Dr. Nicole Barnes, a small woman with intense eyes, standing before a holographic display of precursor artifacts. "My name is Dr. Nicole Barnes," she said. "Using data recovered from precursor sites, we have proven that the Council, led by the Araxians, has systematically suppressed technological advancement across the galaxy. They have hoarded precursor technology that was meant to be shared by all species." The doctor showed evidence, ancient records, comparative technological analyses, and maps of hidden precursor sites. As the broadcast continued, human warships emerged from hiding across Council space. Not just a few, but hundreds. The massive battle cruiser Retribution *, now under Captain Frank Rousseau, led a fleet against Arcturus Station, the Council's primary military coordination center. "Council forces, this is Captain Frank Rousseau," he transmitted as his ships surrounded the station. "Your leaders have lied to you. Stand down, and you will not be harmed." Some Council ships fought. Others, confused by the broadcast and the sudden appearance of so many unknown vessels, surrendered immediately. On Arcturus Station, Council officers watched in growing horror as human Marines breached their defenses. Leading the assault was Major Tim Garcia, whose team moved with precision born from years of training and preparation. Control room secured, Tim reported as his soldiers took positions around captured council officers. Station is ours. Within hours, the broadcast had reached every corner of council space. Species that had lived under Araxian domination for generations suddenly had proof of their oppressors' lies. Rebellions that had been simmering for years erupted into full revolts. Back on Novaterra, Dr. Nicole Barnes worked with scientists from a dozen species. Together, they studied precursor technology that had been hidden for millennia. "This power source," said Zolari, a scientist from a species long subjugated by the Council, "it's unlike anything I've ever seen." Nicole nodded. "The Council kept this from all of us. Imagine what we can accomplish together." In the command center, Admiral Walsh watched as reports came in from across the galaxy. 70% of Outer Council territories are now under our control, reported his aide. "And the Araxian homeworld?" he asked. "Their defenses are strong, but with the Crawl helping us bypass their security protocols, we'll be ready to strike within weeks." Ambassador Patel joined him, looking both tired and satisfied. "After today, the galaxy will never be the same," she said. Admiral Walsh nodded. "The Council thought they were caging a weak species. Instead, they gave us time to become something they couldn't have imagined." "And now?" asked Olivia. "Now we take the fight to Araxis Prime, to the heart of the Council itself." The great fleet of humanity and their allies gathered at the edge of the Araxian home system. 500 warships, from small, fast attack craft to massive dreadnoughts, prepared for the final battle. Supreme Commander Henry Davis stood on the bridge of the flagship Justice watching as the last ships took their positions. "All ships report ready, Commander," said his communications officer. Henry nodded. At 63, he had spent 40 years in the human Shadow Fleet. Now he would lead the largest military force humanity had ever assembled against the very heart of the Council that had exiled them. "All ships, this is Supreme Commander Davis," he transmitted to the fleet. "The Araxians thought they were protecting the galaxy from us. Today we proved them right, but not in the way they imagined. We fight not for revenge, but for freedom. Not just for humans, but for all species oppressed by Council lies. Commence Operation Daybreak." The fleet moved forward, using void drives to bypass the outer defensive line completely. They appeared deep within the system, startling the Araxian defense fleet. "Enemy ships are in disarray," reported the tactical officer. "They didn't expect us to penetrate so deeply so quickly." Henry watched as the battle unfolded according to their carefully constructed plan. Crawl warships, now fighting alongside humans, targeted specific weaknesses in Araxian vessels that only they knew about. Ships from other liberated species joined the assault, each bringing unique tactics and technologies. On Araxis Prime below, High Counselor Zeth Mara watched in growing horror as the combined fleet tore through the defenses that had protected his world for 10,000 years. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his generals. "They were contained. Primitive. How did they build such a force without our knowledge?" "The humans have been operating beyond our detection for over a century," admitted General Vex. "They found ways to shield their activities from our sensors, and they united many of our former subject species against us." Zethmera's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in distress. "Evacuate the Council chambers. Prepare my ship." But it was too late. Human dropships were already entering the atmosphere, protected by fighter squadrons that overwhelmed the planetary defenses. Major Kate Wilson led the assault team that landed directly at the Council's fortified complex. Her soldiers, human and Crawl fighting side by side, moved quickly through the ornate halls where the fate of countless species had been decided for millennia. "Council chamber ahead," Kate reported through her comlink. Heavy resistance. The fighting was fierce. Araxian elite guards defended their leaders with desperate courage. But they had never faced humans in direct combat before, and Kate's team used tactics the Araxians had never seen. After 30 minutes of intense fighting, Kate's team breached the massive doors of the council chamber. Inside, most of the counselors had fled, but High Counselor Zeth Mara remained, surrounded by his last guards. "It's over," Kate told him. "Surrender now." The guards looked to their leader, who seemed suddenly old and tired. "Lower your weapons," he ordered them. As the guards stepped aside, a tall human man entered the chamber. Admiral John Powell, grandson of Commander Jack Powell, who had witnessed humanity's exile so long ago, walked slowly toward the High Counselor. "Do you know who I am?" John asked. Zeth Mara studied him. "You resemble the human commander who witnessed the Quarantine Declaration." "A relative." "His grandson," John replied. "He told me stories about you, about how you judged humanity too violent, too unpredictable for the stars." "And was I wrong?" Zeth Mara gestured to the signs of battle around them. "Look what you have done." John stepped closer. "Humanity didn't evolve beyond violence. We mastered it, refined it, and now we've brought it to your doorstep. But remember, we didn't start this war. You did, when you caged a species that had done you no harm." Outside, the battle in space was ending. The Araxian fleet that had enforced council rule for thousands of years was now surrounded, outnumbered, and outmatched. In orbit, Commander Davis received the message he had been waiting for. Admiral Powell reports the council chambers are secured. High Counselor Zeth Mara has surrendered. Henry closed his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of history. Transmit to all ships and all worlds. The council has fallen. Humanity stands victorious. 25 years after the fall of the council, Chancellor Ryan Peterson walked slowly through the Grand Hall of Unity Station. The massive space station orbited Earth, a symbol of how far humanity had come. From exiles trapped in their own solar system to leaders of a new galactic order. Ryan paused before the large windows that showed Earth below, beautiful and blue. Ships from 53 different species filled the space around the station, their designs as varied as the beings who made them. All had come for the 25th Federation Summit. "Chancellor, they're ready for you," said his aide, a young woman named Carly Jackson. Ryan nodded and straightened his formal jacket. At 68, he was older than he'd like, but the people had chosen him to lead this new galaxy. He would not let them down. The main chamber of Unity Station could hold representatives from every member species of the Galactic Federation. As Ryan entered, thousands of beings rose to their feet, or equivalent appendages, in respect. Some looked almost human. Others were so different that early contact had required special translation devices just to communicate. "Friends, allies, partners in our shared future," Ryan began. 25 years ago, the old council fell. The system that kept some species dominant and others subservient ended. Together, we have built something better. He gestured to the displays showing the achievements of the Federation, new colonies on once forbidden worlds, trade routes connecting formerly isolated systems, and scientific breakthroughs made possible by combining the knowledge of dozens of species. Where the Council hoarded precursor technology, we have shared it. Where they fostered division, we have created unity. Where they ruled through fear, we lead through cooperation. The crowd applauded. Among them sat former enemies who now worked together. Even some Araxians had joined the Federation, younger generations who rejected their ancestors' beliefs in their inherent superiority. After the ceremony, Ryan visited the observation deck where a special guest waited. Admiral John Powell, now retired and walking with a cane, watched the ships coming and going around Earth. "Quite a view," said Ryan, joining him. John smiled. "My grandfather would never have believed this. Earth at the center of galactic politics, not as conquerors, but as leaders of something new." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the busy space lanes. A small Araxian ship approached the station, elegant and swift. "The new Araxian ambassador arrives today," Ryan noted. "I heard it's Zeth Mara's granddaughter," said John with a raised eyebrow. "Ironic, isn't it?" When the ship docked, a young female Araxian emerged. Unlike the ornate robes her grandfather had worn, she dressed simply. She spotted John and approached with respect. "Admiral Powell," she said, her voice musical through the translator. "I am Talavan. I believe you knew my grandfather." John studied her. Where Zethmera's 4 eyes had always shown arrogance, hers showed curiosity and perhaps a touch of nervousness. "I did," John replied. In his final years, he saw everything he believed in crumble. Talavan nodded. "My grandfather was wrong about many things, but most of all about your kind." She looked out at Earth below. "He thought containing you would keep the galaxy safe. He never understood that it was your very nature, your adaptability, your determination, that made you not a threat, but a hope." "And what do you believe?" asked Ryan. "I believe my people have much to learn from humans," she said, "and much to contribute, if you will let us." John smiled and pointed to the old quarantine beacons, now preserved as museums orbiting the edge of the solar system. Those were meant to be our prison bars. Now they're monuments to a failed attempt to cage the human spirit. As night fell on the station, the celebration continued. Species that once fought now danced, traded, and built together. Children born after the Council's fall knew only this new order, this federation where humanity reigned not through force, but through the power of cooperation. In his quarters, Ryan looked at an old photo of Earth taken during the quarantine years. A single world, isolated and alone. Now, they had all the stars.